Look at that. Oh, it's cool. It like focuses on its own.
Well, it's like a feature in the camera.
Yeah, it's almost like it's smart.
Whoa. Back pain?
No, just I'm so sore. Irons
Yeah, you've been working out?
and cattle balls crushed what we call hamstring day at the gym, which is just like posterior chain.
Yeah.
Ton of fucking deadlifts, ton of RDLs,
I've been doing
hamstring curls. Oh my god, those kill.
so I've been doing my buddy Conrad's programming. And so he has me doing a bunch of, hip and spine stuff. And he's coupling these tempo RDLs with a standing loaded car for me. It's gnarly.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Like the tempo is what is it? It's a 3-second eccentric with a like 0 pause with a 3-second concentric with no pause at the top. So it's just constant tension.
3030. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, load it up today. Is what he says. But they're all they're assisted RDL. So, you can really get into your leg pretty good. And then it pushes me onto a any variation of a leg press. And again, my tempo is now 3 3 2 3 0. Dying.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, take all of the 90 seconds of rest if you'd like. I will. We're talking sets of 12 to 15. So it's so much time under tension. And then I'll go into a prone lying hamstring curl with some serious tempo again. Dual and single. It's just lighten me up.
Dude, they have a standing hamstring curl machine at the gym.
The one where your knee goes into the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you just stand and tuck and then do them, they're so bad.
Oh my gosh, I feel this near the attachment site. What? You get them to get an inverse curl. You familiar with those? It's a West Side machine. So you're in the Nordic position, but the whole point is to pull yourself up.
Oh. So you start down?
You'll start up in the Nordic position, but you're loading down and then you're coming up and pulling. Dude, it is definitely an exposer of posterior chain and lack thereof.
Lack thereof. I've been doing Nordics on the GHD. It's got a GHD, and everybody's looking at me like, "Why?" Those look horrible. I'm like, I don't know why.
I really don't have a good answer for you.
Because research for soccer players, injury prevention.
Yeah.
Oh no, battery already? Okay, hold on.
Oh yeah, go fill it up. This is the perfect way to pause this. How's the shockwave treating you now?
It's good. That's really good. I mean, I've had more calls in 3 weeks than I did 5 years with a laser. Yeah, it's insane. I probably would actually, to be honest. I mean, maybe I'll use it on my car accidents and
$50.
Really acute issues. Yeah, it's not the same feedback to the patient.
Right.
Yeah.
This feedback of shockwave is unlike anything I've ever. Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's never been the same in on any 2 patients, So it's really cool where I had this girl with lateral hip pain and I was working on some glute stuff, doing some needling, and she wasn't really getting any relief. And then I did the shockwave on her hip for 5 minutes and I couldn't find a single spot on her lateral hip, the whole glute. I tried different heads, all this stuff, and then I move into the SI joint and it reproduced her hip pain. Yeah, and hurt her like a motherfucker. Oh my God, that's it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, now we know where to focus.
Yep.
But I had a dude with a partial rotator cuff tear. I just did his 3rd treatment. He hasn't done a push-up in a year. He did 30 yesterday. There's no pain. Yeah. Girl with chronic hamstring feels like it's the first time she's deadlifted without a pull in her hamstring after 2 visits. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane.
There's a PT around here that has a shockwave that's just collecting dust the past 2 years that Court and Dre were telling me about. So I'm gonna have him go in there and tell him to let me borrow.
What is it? See, there's
it.
2 types of shockwave. There's one like Dan Sines has, which is percussion along with shockwave. That is not even close to the same.
Well, isn't the difference is the radial pulse versus a focus pulse, right?
Yeah, and I think just from the patient standpoint, it's percussion.
Oh yeah, like what they
you're treating them with you're treating them with a Theragun in their mind.
Okay.
That's what it felt like to me, where this you feel nothing until it hits a spot. Okay. Which is really cool.
Have you noticed anything about it, like when you're like in the muscle belly? Are you reproducing the discomforts that people talk about or things that you're looking for, like even on yourself? Or is it all close to the tendinous junctions?
No, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. That was one thing I remember hearing about, was that certain versions like radial pulse versus focal post, and how certain the acoustic sound waves will vibrate for like the muscle belly itself. Like one's going to be better at treating tendinopathies than another kind of situation.
I imagine this one would be better at treating tendinopathies than anything.
Yeah.
Anywhere you need to cause like little micro trauma in the tissue to get new blood flow. That's kind of the way I tell people.
Yeah.
And it's similar technology to like lithotripsy, where you're breaking up kidney stones.
Yep.
Right. It's just not penetrating as deep as that machine. Yeah, so it's penetrating an inch or so under the tissue, you know?
Yeah. How long is treatment time? 5 minutes?
5 to 15. You know, like all right, like maybe the first visit, it's like 10 to 15. Because you might spend 5 minutes trying to find, But like now, once you've treated them, you're like, all right, I know where to go on you. So then I can just hammer that out in like 5 minutes or 3 minutes, that spot that usually gets them. And it's cool because over the course of the treatments, like, you know, third treatment, they can handle a higher number. They still feel it, but they can handle way more in there, which is cool. And then you know, like say I do that in 5 minutes, and I'm like, hey, let's look for other spots. Like, let's see if we can find some stuff in your rotator cuff, or like up in your trap, or in your bicep tendon, or, you know, like, so I can kind of expand out and just overdo it for them. And sometimes I find some cool stuff too. Awesome. Or you just like, hey, like, let me work on that wrist real quick. I know that's been bothering you for a while.
Have you been?
So yeah, it's good. Huh?
Have you been treating your knee with it?
Yeah, I haven't had any pain on a hike since I started.
Sick.
Like after the first treatment, I had a little bit, and I was like, and then the second treatment, I pushed it. I did a pretty steep hike, and I was like, I kind of feel it in the beginning, and then the last week, I haven't had any. Like that's why it took a little long. I was doing my outside workout, and I did 150 air squats. I've never been able to do that without my knee hurting, and I didn't even feel it. Yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah. I mean, most of what fixed my knee, I think, was that stem cell shot, but I had some residual pain. So I went from like an 8 out of 10 every time I moved that thing. I couldn't go on a knee. And then I got the stem cell shot in my patellar tendon, and I was about 80% better. Yeah, but I had this little 20%, like this 2 out of 10 nagging. You know, if I warmed up, it went away. But there's just this little nagging pain.
How long ago did you get the stem cell shot?
Oh man, a year or two? 2 years.
2 years?
Yeah, 2 years, because I remember like I didn't notice any difference after I got it for like a week or two. And then I just kind of rested. And then at a month, I just like, fuck it, I'm working out. And I was like 80% better. Which is funny because like it shouldn't work right away. If it worked right away, that ain't it.
Shouldn't work right away. Yeah.
And the thing about shockwave that's interesting is like you'll get some people relief right away. Well, that's not necessarily what you're going for, right? I'm probably just desensitizing the area.
36 visits.
Yeah. But I'm probably just desensitizing the area, right? Just like if
Definitely.
you rub a muscle and it feels better.
Definitely.
Yeah. But when they tell me at like a week, 10 days, they're doing better, like none of that is it, you know? That means I had some sort of effect. But it's been good. It's been fun.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That is great. Makes me want to get a shot.
I will help people, and I will make an ungodly amount of money, and everyone wins.
Maybe when I open my second office end of next month, we'll get a shockwave done.
So what's the deal? What are we doing with the seminar?
Well, I think we're gonna shoot for that July weekend. Pull it up right now.
2021.
Yeah. 22, 23. So that's Saturday, Sunday.
That's what 4 weeks before your due date?
Yes.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, I think we'll be good.
It's a quick flight.
Yeah. Shoot. We'll see what happens. But either way, I think we should lock that down, and I'll get with Steve and guarantee that we have some space, but we'll start putting some stuff out there, letting people know that we'll do spine and extremity level 1 again. And then for the people that have been, like, we'll adopt what MPI has been doing for people that are retaking a certain seminar. So it'll be a little cheaper for them for the weekend.
Sure.
We'll be ready to rock. It should be fun. Hope we see some new faces. I hope we see a lot of faces too, because I'd be curious to see how everybody's like improved. The things that they've been practicing, if they've actually been watching the videos that we sent out, and then they'll have to kind of go over again. There's gonna be more content for them.
So what'd you go over last time, and what's the plan this time? You guys just kind of run through everything in a weekend?
Yes.
A little taste of everything?
Yeah, we
Are
start
you trying
with
to do something similar or do different shit this time?
No, we'll keep, I think that we have a good flow to how we structure everything. Because you haven't been there yet for either one of them, but it'll remind you of, remember when you used to teach diversified class?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Very similar. We're rocking an assessment, and we're going to talk about the ins and outs of that assessment and what we're looking for, and then justifying why you would want to adjust a certain region that you're finding. So we're keeping it rather simple and letting people practice something simple, but make it way more in depth. So having a different lens of looking at the assessment, how's the body moving, feeling it, create the motion, marry it to your passive stuff, and figure out that's where you're going to deliver a manipulation. And then we talk about we discuss why you would want to do an anterior versus doing something more prone, body shape types, et cetera, and so forth, and how it differs.
Gotcha.
So I'd say that with the crew in Iowa, we had a smaller group, so we could really hone in on some major details of things. I don't know. I felt like Damir and I had a really good flow. And so we actually ended up with a good amount of time. We're talking about 16 hours worth of practice. And that's a lot of time to practice the adjustments. And when we went over it again, we could spend even more time being here's the practice. Let's do all the moves you learned yesterday and practice it right now for the next 2.5 hours, because we're going to be able to do that.
It was really cool seeing their adjustments day 2 in the beginning of the day, and then end of day 2, when we're packing up, and they're still they're working on each other, and they're like, I feel so good.
How far in are these kids?
The equivalent of,
or some people older than me, maybe.
Yeah.
Students, let's say students.
Yeah, a year and a half in.
Okay, so you can talk to them. They know their anatomy, all that shit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have a decent understanding of what to do. And they've probably experienced some not so good instruction, confused them, and they're worried about their abilities, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All the shit that we went through.
Yeah. Right. With a lot more, philosophical based pressure
Yep.
We didn't have to go through.
Is that a real thing?
Dude, very
Dude.
Wait, no, that's in Davenport though.
That's what we're
okay. All right.
Yeah,
I was like, not in Palmer West.
Oh no, Palmer West.
Why they're closing down?
It was even worse at Palmer West because it was so sad because it's dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the weird part about there. That's,
it's dead. It's like a ghost town.
Yeah. But
that's where we're going, right?
Yeah. I figured out why Palmer West is closing is because Palmer Davenport has probably one of the nicest fucking gyms I have ever walked into for a college.
And did we fuck up not going there? Or
no,
would we suck if we went
there? No, weird. Damir and I were talking about it when we I'm gonna move.
We're hanging out.
Dark. We were talking about it when we were imagine if we like ended up in Davenport, Iowa, and how easily it would be to be swayed influentially like through these philosophical battles that they're constantly having and pushing on people. Like, would you
we'd be rich. We'd be seeing like 80 people a day. What are you complaining about? Dude, that'd be way cooler.
I wouldn't know one fucking stretch.
We'd be adjusting people for fucking diabetes, for
I would have cured diabetes and autism, but I wouldn't know one stretch.
We'd be anti-vaxxers.
I don't know. It was,
but yeah, what are muscles?
Yeah,
no, it was definitely, it was strange walking through. Yeah, and like Joe said, like, and I don't know about you, but like I knew nothing about like, chiropractors or different types of chiropractors.
Yeah, no, I thought they were all the same.
Yeah, you assume they're all the same, and we'd be totally different chiropractors if we went to Davenport.
It's kind of crazy. Now, would you put that equivalence of Davenport to like Life West?
Very similar.
Yeah, because they're a lot like philosophical, no tissue work.
Right. Well, even like you still get like the people that will learn tissue work, et cetera, and so forth. But I think the schooling itself is like set up almost to just like throw philosophy down people's throats and make them like, you need a philosophy in order to help people. And if you don't know what you're going to do, you're going to be lost. And they almost create tribalism.
Yeah, like, it's a religion.
Yeah, they create like these little tribes of people that are like, no, I'm the sports guy, or I'm the top only, or I'm upper cervical. Like, dude, there's an upper cervical fraternity. Yeah.
How many people are in a class there?
The other, there's one more fraternity on campus, and that other fraternity is the Toggle fraternity.
Is there 9 people in these things, or is it big?
No, it's huge.
They're huge. The student body's like 1,500.
Yeah, it's like 4 times the size of our school.
Every one of those kids has a dad who's Toggle. I don't think anyone went to a chiropractic street and like, I'm gonna do that to everyone. Someone talked them into it.
When you walk into that room, the Toggle room, it's really nice.
It's the nicest room we saw.
Yeah, it's so nice. Like,
it's got like nice room. 50 tables.
And you didn't attract any of those people into the course, I imagine.
0.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah, 0.
That'd have been nice to get one of them in and just fucking adjust their ankle, and they're like, "Oh my god, feels amazing."
Yeah, and you didn't touch.
It's not stuck anymore. Whoa.
You didn't go here for my ankle.
Yeah. It's embarrassing, man.
No, it was
kind of disappointing.
And so imagine these students who are stuck. They're trying to like get by. Toggle's a mandatory course that you have to take. We were talking to a student that had transferred before he even found out about West closing, and it was like after 10th quarter, and they made him go back and take Toggle.
Yeah, he was a West guy, and he was a cool kid. I liked him. And he was, they were telling us some stories about just kind of like this, like just the student body and like the things they're telling, when you remember when you're in clinic and you can hear what other students are saying to like their patients, just making shit up, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I hear it's pretty wild, the things that you would hear. And, it's like, I don't know. It was just really like, it was sad. Like you kind of feel bad for people. They're like, you're spending all this money to go to school to learn as much as you can. And you're just going to go down one rabbit hole of some philosophy because some dude told you, like, this is the way. Trust me. This is how it's been done for years. In 18.
Yeah, all the people who don't practice.
Yeah.
Teaching them that. Yeah.
People that don't have patient interaction, people that don't treat. Maybe they
were. Some of the students were actually even saying that, like, there's teachers or professors who'd be like, you don't have to practice yet, that's what clinic's for. And it's like, because that professor has a active practice in town. It's like they don't want these kids to grow up to be.
And reminder, this is in Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah.
But it's like,
I've never been to a town like Davenport.
I haven't either. It's only a 3-hour drive from my house. But it's it's similar to Palmer West, like how people graduate and then they stay in San Jose, California, where there's 9,000 chiropractors. Like there's 16,000 chiropractors in the country. 9,500 of them are in San Jose, California.
Yeah.
And like the students that we had at our course seemed to like they wanted more. They were definitely curious, and they had a really good outlook on what they were trying to get to once they were like out of school. They know where they want to go, and it seems like it's this weird, like almost like if I feel like the seminar was almost like an escape from the curriculum. Palmer.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing that there's 1,500 kids and you guys got like what, 8, 10? How many people did you get?
It was more like because nobody knew.
Like, is that a no one knew, or is that many people are not interested in that style of technique?
I think it's a combination.
They didn't know.
Definitely both.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely both.
Because there's got to be like at least 100 that are interested in that technique, and maybe 30 would willing to pay.
Yeah, I think what happened.
But if like seeing that few people makes me kind of sad that like the mindset is to not be that type of chiropractor. Right. That's pretty disappointing.
A little
like bit. They're just going to be toggle. They're just going to be upper cervical. They're just going to, or they just think school is enough. And I think those teachers get upset how like we will teach them in 2 days more than they do in 2 years. Like 100%.
Yes.
There's zero doubt in my mind I could take a kid with I could take a first quarter in 2 days and teach them more than a 10th quarter as far as just the adjusting. Now the why and the understanding is what takes time, right? But like just make bone pop.
Yeah.
Right? Like I taught that kid that Kyle that went to chiropractic. I taught him how to adjust before chiropractic school. He came back and was terrible.
It was worse.
In like 7th quarter, and he's like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, calm down. And now he's the great adjuster.
Right.
Like it's like he was good, shit, and then good again. It's crazy. And I think those teachers get a little upset about that. That's why I think they're like, remember they try to complicate it.
Yeah. And that's
what like it almost confused us more. Right. Yeah. We were all like in a panic mode when we started because we're like, what is this like? Drag the hip down and like tissue pull and pocket to pocket and oh Jesus.
Yeah.
I
think one of the things that people get worried about when they come to a new seminar too is like the unknown, especially because we are newer into that space. So
sure.
Like it's going to be more of like a crash test system where a couple students are going to go and they're going to come back and be like, that wasn't worth it, or dude, that was totally worth it, you missed out. Like you should.
Yeah. Well, it's like us. How many people went to McClure's first one?
Right.
Like 15. And then the last one was like 45 sold out in one day.
Yeah.
50 people in one day. Like, and we probably could have easily got more. It's because us.
Yeah.
We ran around like,
We're
dude,
like, oh my God,
best
check
in
this
the
out.
world.
Check this out.
Give me your metatarsal bone.
Yeah, exactly. Give me your foot, take your shoe off.
Yeah. What do you think that this seminar can provide for people that they're not getting at school? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what can get them to be like, I have to do this?
Well, I think the internally motivated person is someone that would connect with us the best, for sure. Right? The person that is really seeking to be a great adjuster, because that means that they're willing to go learn from multiple people. And it's not just like an HVLA course. If they're going to MPI, they're going to McClure's, they're going to Charette's, they're going to everything to envelop their skill base. And so I think the person that would benefit the most is honestly the person that doesn't seek more help, because more than likely they're the ones that need it the most. But the person that would really veg with us really well is the opposite spectrum. I think that they would truly get what we're going after when it comes to teaching how to manipulate and adjust at an extremely high level. What would you say, Damir?
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think, schools just have constraints that we don't. And we can just walk around the red tape and all the BS and all that kind of stuff and be like, look, like we've been where you've been. We've had exposure to some really incredible talent that we want to pass on to you, and we have our own experience as well. And we've distilled all of that and curated all that information down into what we think is the most applicable. Like if I had a little brother going to the program that I wanted to like beef up to be the best chiropractor I can be, or if I was going to the program again, I want to have myself go through this. And so it's pretty much that in a seminar.
Well, it's funny, like I don't understand why the teachers at the schools aren't getting it. Do you know what I mean? Like, why can't they do it?
I think you just get caught up in day to day and the curriculum and what the school motto, and all the whole wheel. You're just like one little cog in it, and you kind of lose. They lose like the focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I've always thought.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, I think like because we're all like go-getters, right? Like we're all very focused, right? Especially when it comes to work. And you can kind of see it. Joe and I talked about this at the seminar the night before the seminar. Was you see it right away in kids who have like focus, and who like the ones that are kind of like la da da, like I just think like I'm gonna graduate and it's all gonna be fine, versus the ones that are like, oh man, like this is gonna be some work, but I know what I gotta do. Right, like those are the ones
kind of like you see the young us.
You see it right away. Yeah, you see it right away, and you'd be like, "Hey, man, like I'm here for you," because like that's what we're doing this for, right? It's filling that cup in other ways than monetary.
Yeah, it was always my theory that the teachers just complicated it because it made them like look like they're cooler. I don't know, like they know stuff that's really detailed and complex, and if they teach you in a day, they're like almost like you devalue what they're teaching.
Yeah. And then also the fact that they have that curriculum they have to follow, so like you slow it down so much that it's like you're not ready for that. And it's like, well, I don't know about that. I think the like if you're trying to teach someone basketball, you're not going to sit there and talk to them about like the X's and O's of basketball. You're going to put a fucking basketball in their hand and tell them ball goes in bucket.
Yeah.
You have to do this and dribble it. You can't pick it up and run with it first. And then you teach it knows as you go.
It's a good analogy, right? Because like I can teach you how to adjust this like 25-year-old kid pretty quickly. But then like the skills over time is what allows you to adjust everyone and like see the subtle differences in the shape of the spine and the size of the patient and like the force and the speed you need to use. Just like basketball, right? Like I can teach you to shoot a free throw pretty quickly, but like can you shoot a fadeaway jumper when a big dude's jumping in your face, right? It's like that's when our job's a little harder. It's like not everyone. I mean, you guys know that. You get into practice and you're like, all right, well, like I used to just crush every bone on every student. Like you'll get a patient comes in like 25 and you're like, I'm gonna blow your mind. I'm gonna adjust your feet and your knees and everything's gonna move. But then you get this old dude who's like an ex-football coach or player, and you're like, shit. All right, something move, please. I hope I don't just ruin your day right now. Yeah.
It's funny. So Joe and I talk about this actually we talked about this at the seminar, how literally like exactly what you said, like almost like word for word, on how
young, healthy 20-something year olds like practice. It's like that's preparing you. It's like to a certain extent it is until you meet that person that you just described.
Exactly. Yeah. And the importance of like understanding the fundamentals, even with like palpation, like what does end range feel like? How do I find end range on a cervical spine, on every single cervical spine that I assess, right? Big people, small people, fat people, skinny people, everybody. How do I find end range? Great. Same thing with T-spine, same thing with low back. And so then now you know what you're feeling for, and you're like, that doesn't feel right. Okay, that's where I'm going for, right? Versus, oh, hey, I'm just gonna put you in this position on your side, and look, as soon as I lean on you, pops 3 for 3 today.
Yeah. So because I've never done the seminar with you guys, and like I think people listening would like to know, like maybe I'll go, Joe, you give me like an outline, a minute or 2 minutes, day one, what they're going to learn. And then Damir, you do day two, what they're going to learn. Because it's 2 days, right?
Yep.
So give me like the day one.
Okay. So on the day one,
Cliff Notes.
The Cliff Notes version. Day one, thoracic spine is usually what we'll start with. I think it's a great place to start. So we'll do a T-spine assessment, and then we do a breakout where we assess one another and we get used to feeling and touching and learning what you're learning, like going for. We do that for about 15 to 20 minutes. And then after that, we go over the adjustment. We do prone and anteriors. We go over both of them, body positioning, et cetera, and so forth. We talk about the shape of the person, why you would want to do something that, for instance, we use like we'll use our own patients as examples. So like whenever I have baseball people that are living in extension, I tend to flex them and do a lot of anterior moves to them just because of their lifestyle and the things that they do most often. I'm trying to give their body a little more feedback into a position they struggle to get into. And so we'll use those type of examples. And then also like we'll throw in some diagnoses that we're treating with. So giving them clinical gems throughout that whole process. After the T-spine, we go to the lumbopelvic. Or I'm sorry, no, T-spine, we go to cervical spine. So again, we do an assessment, do a breakout, we get our hands on each other, we come back, we do the adjustment, and then we go and we practice. After that, we do lumbopelvic, and then we will do the assessment, put our hands on one another, come back, do the adjustment, break out, practice that. Usually for the practice, we're spending like more time practicing that stuff.
Sure.
So it could be about, 30 minutes to an hour, just setting up, pushing on one another. We'll come around and we'll position people for themselves. Like, hey, you're taller and this person's table is right here. So if you're on a table that's like this, you need to get lower. And if you're really short, then you need to be taller for this position, right? You need to get your body in a spot where you can leverage this human towards you so that you put yourself in a more compact position to deliver an adjustment. We'll help them with their speed. We'll help them with like understanding how they're using their legs versus how they're using their hands to try to do things. And like how to leverage like their body system, where they're bracing. how they're bracing, how they're creating tension with their hands. Like for instance, on like an anterior, like being firm and sturdy here versus being loose and losing tension as you're doing, like as you're positioning for an anterior before you deliver an adjustment, which is a very common thing that happens actually. It seems like people are really struggle to find tension on an anterior for some reason. There's a lot more going on, so maybe that's why, but either way, we try to get them to get that change like right then and there. We don't walk away from it until they figure it out. So
with every person, teaching the head cradle anterior, or are you doing like the arm?
Like all sorts. So
or both. Okay.
Multiples. Yeah, multiple cradling the arm position here, talking about why that's important, what it's doing to the shoulder blades, coming around the body and picking up the head, lat grabbing, etc. and so forth, like all sorts of positions. Facing the table, like being perpendicular to it, and versus being at that, like going towards the head of the table, like when you would probably need to do something like that. Same side, same hand. It doesn't matter. As long as you know how to create the tension, we're trying to show you how to deliver the adjustment.
Cool. Nice. Sweet. So that's a day one.
Yeah. And then on day one still, we will go over, like Damir and I will lay on the tables and we'll let them practice anything they want and we'll give them feedback. And that whole time we're teaching each student how to give their partner feedback that whole time. Like how to make it more comfortable for that person that's literally laying on the table and not just faking it and being like, yeah, that was good.
We were always really good about that too. Where like adjusters like, yeah, that was great, but you pulled my hair the whole time and it sucked. Like that little feedback makes a big difference in practice.
Pinched my knee
and
Yeah. So we'll do that. And then we break out again and we'll go over side posture, because I think that side posture is probably the hardest one for people to grasp. So we go over side posture 2 times, sometimes 3.
Cool.
Yep. And then day 2 is all Damir.
And still, day 1, we also, do we do the real talk day 1 or day 2?
Oh yeah, that's day 1. Yeah, we do real talks.
Talks day 1. So like we kind of like grab everybody and we do real talk where we just kind of go over,
life.
Just fucking vent, dude.
And it's kind of like what do you want to do? And like you ask them like legit straight up questions like, what's your plan? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I like that.
What do you who do you want to work for? Do you want to work for somebody? What's your plan? And how far along are you in it? And
it comes quicker than you think.
It stops them. It's same way kind of where you're like, explain what's going on when you adjust somebody. You go. And they're like, well, you see, and they kind of puts them on the spot and really makes them think. So we do end of day 1, we kind of finish with real talk. And that's been good. We've had great feedback on real talk. Day 2 is first things first, review of day 1. We go back and we do palp first. So we put them all down and it's like, hey, we split them up 50-50. Partner A is a doctor, partner B is patient, and it's just like doctors palp, find what you find, assess, palp, do stuff, and then just move to the next body. And then, everybody gets a different body. Everybody switches until everybody's worked with everybody else. And then they switch. And then we do that again. And then they go through that. And then it's like, okay, what'd you find? Okay, great. We're not treating anything, but go ahead and, deliver what you learned. Let's see you practice what you learned so far in the weekend based on what you found in the assessment.
And questions they might have along the way that have come up in the past 24 hours.
Right. And then they go through that. And then, so that takes a little bit of time. And then we start to get into the extremities. Extremities includes ribs. So that's a big important one that we go through. And then we go, we'll start lower body. I think we started, we worked our way up, worked down. I forget. And then same thing with upper, and day 2 is a little bit, quicker. the main reason day 2 is quicker is because the extremity moves are much more novel and new, and they've never seen them before, and they just don't know how to reproduce them as well. And so they'll try and they'll fail and be like, damn it. All right, what else you got? Versus like the side postures and the T spines and the C spines and all that kind of stuff. They've had exposure, but like,
Yeah,
Joe hit an elbow and they're like, what am I supposed to, I hit a first met and they're like, what am I, I've never seen that before,
I still can't do that one. Pisses me off.
Honestly, to me,
You gotta went through boots.
Right foot is the easiest move.
I do it a different way. I can't do it like you guys.
Do it through the shoe.
Mad.
It's my favorite thing to do through the shoe.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. That's. I will come home from this seminar adjusting that the way you guys do it. I did it someone the other day, and they're like, "Ow!"
Work on it.
I was like, "I'm gonna try something new on you. Just lay there," and I did it, and they're like, "Ah,
shit." It's definitely uncomfortable.
All right, let me do it a different way.
Yeah, if you're on the ridge. So yeah, it's pretty much day 2. There's a lot of, inner flow. We want to make sure that they can practice the moves that they've already learned multiple times, and I think that kind of reinforces good habits and learning and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we try to create like levels to the. I think that's something new that we didn't do with the first one. Is we were talking a little more about levels of the ideas of the manipulation and like the adjustment. Is like mastering fundamentals sets you up for the success for the hard ones. So like for instance, like a prone thumb move at the CT junction. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing we do on day 1 is we'll go back and we'll do CT junction and a TL junction move.
Okay. All right.
So let's say we're doing like a prone thumb move, like being pretty like sharp and snipery with a prone thumb move, like comfortably, I think sets people up for being good at an elbow. The positioning is very similar in regards to like your thrusting mechanisms and like how low you have to get, where your elbow is in comparison relative to the person's body. So we started creating this like level system of like, hey, yanking on someone's ankle, especially between your legs when you over the top, that move that we like to show. Like to me, that's like level 1, 2, right? It's not very hard to do, but a navicular is like level 8, maybe. That's pretty freaking hard. An elbow, I put that up there as like level 9, 10. It's very challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging because of the repercussions if you fuck it up.
Yeah, right. You
miss a navicular, they're like, yeah, cool. You missed that elbow and like hyperextended or they're gonna be hurting.
Yeah, there's some stuff that can go wrong. So talking to them like, and I almost think it sets up, I hate to say it, it sets up the failure a little bit, but it's okay to fail because I remember when we were first learning it, we were just sitting there like, what the hell? And then, I remember Dan freaking nailing the elbow just like a little more consistently than everybody else, just being like, how the hell is he doing that like that? Like, what's so special about Dan's leverage with this? And then more practice starts to reveal what you're doing wrong. Like you're up here when you should be down here. You're thrusting that way when you should be thrusting this way. You're thrusting way too hard. And the person's shoulder is like cocked forward. Like the person's not in a good position. You're not in a good position. So it's not going to work very well.
Yeah.
You have to set the.
And then he does that reverse carver and ruins himself.
Yeah.
Carver from the head of the table. Watch him do that. Yeah, I get it. No, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys do all the extremities, pretty much the whole body then, with some assessments, palpation. So it's like a mix between like, it's like a diversified course with a little motion palpation, a little real talk where you're actually like talking about probably business and personal choices and trying to make sure their like career is lined up, not just one part of their game, kind of giving them that like, hey man, you got to handle this or you're not going to make it. I think that's good.
Yeah.
And then taking people who are like really insecure, maybe with adjusting, or people that think they're fantastic and kind of like humbling and exciting them at the same time, which I think is good.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what McClure did to us a lot, right? We were humbled, but we were fucking stoked on the future. Like, if I do that, I'm going to have a line out my door for the rest of my life, you know, so it motivates you to practice. And then a lot of drunken nights at Palmer adjusting each other. Yeah. Yeah. Now, are we taking any of them to dinner?
Well, so in Iowa, so in Davenport, sorry, in San Jose, we took a couple to dinner and chatted with them. It was cool. It was nice. We had a good dinner. And then in Iowa, we went upstairs at the hotel we stayed at and had like we were up there for like 5-6 hours, honestly, maybe longer.
Yeah, the hotel where we stayed at, where the seminar was also at, had like a rooftop bar. Obviously, it was like enclosed, and because it was wintertime, and there it was just opening. It was like day one of opening or something for the season, and a bunch of the students were like, "Are you guys joining us for a drink upstairs?" And we're like, "Yeah, I guess.
Sure,
Sounds fine." And it was like we finished up at like 5 o'clock, you know. No, it was 4 o'clock because I think it was opened at 8. And like we go up there at 4 o'clock and it was like 10:30 when we made it back.
That's crazy.
We've definitely purchased quite a few beers, and by we I mean Damir.
That's awesome.
It was cool. We had a really good time with everybody. You know, everybody just to kind of let their hair down. It was really nice. It was like just
awesome.
hanging out, like hanging out with friends.
Sounds fun. So the next one's in San Jose.
Yep.
Palmer West.
Yeah. So I heard that San Jose is gonna have, they're gonna have a, what do you call that? A talent show. And
Friday
like
or Saturday.
I think that Friday they have like a talent show and a bash.
That's fine. We don't even do it Friday, do we?
No, but I was thinking about signing up Dan for the talent show.
Yeah. And you.
Perspective.
Don't act like you don't play the guitar and sing.
I was hoping Dan would just do interpretive dancing.
That'd be perfect. Bring out the ribbons.
Yeah, and then we'll go to the first quarter party and have a good time.
Sweet.
So
hell yeah, I like it.
We'll get it rolling. It'll be a lot of fun. You know, I hope we expect a pretty solid group.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to Little Rivetti this week and give her the dates and see what she can do. See if she can get some people interested. And
so it's 3 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the thing I've been saying. Like for this whole thing is like, as long as we have 3 months to fucking get after it.
Yeah, we should be good.
Especially because we've been communicating with them, like letting them know, like we've got families, we're anticipating another baby. You know, we need the anticipation of knowing people are coming so that we can schedule our lives.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why we start this stuff early.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It's like
that's enough time, but not too much.
Yeah. And we have practices that we have to prepare for that, you know, letting patients know like, hey, I'm going to be out of town.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is time for me. Yeah.
True.
Big deal.
True. All right, boys.